Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone.
A group of amusement park riders at California's iconic Santa Monica Pier were apparently treated to a little too much excitement this week when what was supposed to be a fun spin on the Ferris wheel seemingly transformed into a high-stakes life-or-death situation. According to reports, the whole thing took place on the afternoon of October 9th during what was otherwise an ordinary Monday on the pier. However, that all changed at around 2:35 p.m. when a man, later identified as 37-year-old Juan Gonzalez, jumped onto the pier's Ferris wheel out of nowhere and began climbing its inner spokes. Though the ride was quickly stopped by operators, Gonzalez quickly managed to ascend about 2/3 of the way up the structure. That's when he allegedly began threatening terrified riders, telling them that he had a bomb in his backpack. Police and emergency responders soon arrived at the scene, with the crisis negotiation team attempting to reason with Gonzalez. However, he was reportedly agitated and upset, and continued to make bomb threats, prompting firefighters to begin rescuing passengers on the ride. The entirety of Santa Monica Pier was also evacuated. The whole situation finally came to an end around 4:15 p.m. when Gonzalez finally made his way down. He was tackled by a number of officers and was placed under arrest. Thankfully, it's said that he did not actually have any explosives on him or in his bag. At the time of this recording, Gonzalez remains in custody on charges of criminal threats, making a false bomb threat to authorities, and resisting arrest.
This week, representatives from Oklahoma's Tulsa Police Department announced that a wanted man is finally in custody, more than 6 years after he allegedly murdered his estranged wife and then fled the country to avoid arrest. The case began back on June 22, 2017, when police were called to a residence near South Memorial Drive in East Admiral Place with reports of a shooting. Officers arrived to find 26-year-old Elizabeth Rodriguez. She had suffered multiple gunshot wounds and sadly could not be saved. When questioned, Elizabeth's family members said that there was no question who was responsible for the brutal crime. It was her estranged husband, Jose Gomez Baca. They knew this because they had been present for the horrifying attack. According to Elizabeth's mother and brother, the three of them were in the car together and had just pulled up to the house when they were ambushed by Gomez. Before they could do anything, he had shot Elizabeth multiple times, then fled the scene in a gray 2004 Dodge Ram. The killing was allegedly motivated by the fact that Elizabeth was trying to separate from Gomez at the time. In fact, just the day before, Gomez apparently called to report his wife missing to police, only to discover that she had left him of her own accord. Disturbingly, it's said that the couple's children were asleep inside the house when their mother was gunned down on the driveway. Much to the frustration of Elizabeth's family members and authorities, Gomez managed to flee the country and go into hiding before he could be arrested. However, thanks to a multi-year search effort jointly carried out by the Tulsa Police, the U.S. Marshals Service, and Interpol, he was finally located this past summer. Almost 6 years to the day after the horrifying murder, on June 27, 2023, Gomez was arrested while leaving the machine shop where he was working in a small town in the Mexican state of Colima, located about 480 miles south of Mexico City. At the time of this recording, Gomez has been extradited back to Tulsa, where he is now facing first-degree murder charges. He remains in custody without bond.
Authorities in Austin, Texas announced that they're investigating the suspicious death of a local woman this week after her body was found under truly disturbing circumstances at the end of last month. According to reports, the investigation began just after 5 a.m. on September 29th when the Austin Fire Department was called about a grass fire in the city's Northwest Hills neighborhood. When they arrived at the scene, near the intersection of Mesa and Cat Mountain Drives, firefighters quickly located the blaze, which spanned a roughly 10-foot area just off the road close to the fence of a nearby home. However, it wasn't long before things took a dark turn. Engulfed in the flames were the charred remains of a woman. Detectives now say that those remains belonged to 33-year-old Melissa Davis, a Kentucky native who lived in Austin and who had graduated with a master's degree from the University of North Texas. At the scene, police say that they also recovered a lighter and a butcher's knife and that the area smelled strongly of accelerant. Horrifyingly, it's now believed that Melissa was alive when she was set on fire, and that whoever was responsible may have thrown the knife into the flames in an attempt to destroy evidence. Melissa's family members say that they are heartbroken and devastated by the sudden loss. The last time they heard from her was just the day before her remains were found, when she told them that she was going to a local Apple store to get her iPhone fixed. That phone is currently missing, with police saying they believe Melissa had it with her at the time she was killed. They are currently working to obtain her cell phone records in the hopes that they will reveal more. In addition to the cell phone, authorities say that they're searching for Melissa's blue 2016 Toyota 4Runner, which is also missing. A photo of the vehicle has been released, and investigators are now hoping that a member of the public might be able to help them track it down. Anyone with information about the missing vehicle or any other part of the case is asked to reach out to the Austin Police Department at 512-974-TIPS.
Authorities in Pinellas County, Florida, say that a local man is facing charges this week after he allegedly attacked his 103-year-old grandmother, then offered an incredibly lame excuse for his actions. The whole thing started at around 4:15 in the morning on October 11th, when police in the city of Largo were called about a noise complaint at a home on San Rafael Drive. Officers arrived to find a 103-year-old woman named Cecilia Baxis, who said that she had just been assaulted by her grandson, 52-year-old Gregory Baxis. According to Cecilia, she had been asleep in bed that morning when Gregory came into her room and started flicking the lights on and off while calling her a bitch. The abuse quickly escalated when he slapped her in the face and grabbed her by the head and began to shake her, after which he allegedly pulled her off of the bed forcefully by her arms. She claimed she was only up for a couple of seconds when her grandson pulled the mattress off of her bed, then pushed her back down onto the hard surface of the box spring underneath. When asked for his version of events, Gregory reportedly rattled off a number of excuses, none of which made a whole lot of sense. At first, he denied any kind of assault, though claimed that he had tried to wake his grandma up because she was always waking him up early. As for the mattress, he claimed that he pulled it off because he needed to wash the sheets. Seems legit, right? I mean, I too routinely rip my entire mattress off the bed just to get the sheets off. Oh wait, I'm sorry, no one does that. That's crazy. Anyway, when police weren't buying this excuse, Gregory apparently switched to a different, albeit no less ridiculous explanation. He reportedly said he grabbed his grandmother by the arms and did the rest of it because, quote, she came at him. It's at this point that I should mention that Gregory is 6'3" and 237 pounds, and reiterate that his grandmother is, well, a 103-year-old grandmother. Gregory was arrested by police and has now been charged with battery on a person 65 years of age or older. Apparently, he was also arrested back in May after he allegedly caused a drunken disturbance at his girlfriend's house where he instigated a fight with one neighbor and grabbed a second neighbor by the arm. However, it appears prosecutors declined to pursue charges in that case.
Authorities in Waukesha County, Wisconsin say that a woman is facing charges this week, nearly a month after she allegedly threatened several employees at a local fast food restaurant after becoming irate over the conditions of her french fries. According to reports, the whole thing started sometime on August 30th when the suspect, 59-year-old Brenna Gottschalk, walked into the McDonald's on the 300 block of North Moreland Boulevard in the city of Brookfield. At first, employees' interactions with Gottschalk started off normal. She purchased a combo meal, sat down, and proceeded to eat most of it, to the point that she apparently looked like she was done. However, instead of leaving, a few minutes later, Gottschalk reportedly approached the restaurant's front counter and started to complain that there were burnt ends on some of the leftover french fries she hadn't eaten. She then began to walk behind the counter and towards the kitchen area, evidently planning to help herself to a fresh order. When Gottschalk was stopped by a staff member and informed she couldn't be in there, things apparently got more heated. The 59-year-old allegedly became even more argumentative, then bizarrely began claiming that all of the employees were drug dealers and that the police were on their way to arrest them. When that didn't work, Gottschalk reportedly claimed that she had a gun and was going to, quote, shoot up the restaurant. At that point, police were on their way, though presumably to Gottschalk's surprise, they were coming for her. When they arrived, she was on her way out of the McDonald's and thankfully was found not to have any weapons in her possession. This week, the 59-year-old was charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct over the incident. She faces up to 90 days in jail if convicted.
Authorities in Muncie, Indiana say that a local professional wrestling personality is facing charges this week after he allegedly beat down a fan in the parking lot after a show this past summer who he claims was heckling him. According to reports, the whole thing unfolded on August 12th when the unidentified victim attended an Indiana powerhouse wrestling show at the Delaware County Fairgrounds. The man, who reportedly has autism, went to the show accompanied by his caretaker. During the show, witnesses say that the victim became, quote, loud and boisterous. Personally, I thought this was the whole point of going to a wrestling show, but it apparently caused people around him to get angry. At any rate, he and his caretaker were eventually moved by staff, initially making it seem like any tension had been diffused. However, as the victim was leaving the venue, he was confronted by one of the performers, 42-year-old Michael Kine, also known by his wrestling alias, Creepy the Clown. Authorities now allege that Kine elbowed the victim in the back of the head before screaming, quote, "You want to call someone a bitch? Call me a bitch." The man reportedly responded by smashing Kine in the face with a can of Coke. From here, things escalated significantly, with Kine proceeding to attack the victim. His caretaker apparently tried to intervene, but was blocked by a crowd of fans who gathered around to watch. One of them reportedly told the caretaker, quote, "Let them finish the fight." Another witness later recalled seeing Kine hovering over the victim as he lay on the ground, yelling, quote, "Don't call my son a f***ing retard." When the brawl was finally over, the victim was reportedly left with a broken nose and several lacerations to the face. Kine was fired after the incident, though when interviewed by investigators apparently claimed he had no involvement in the fight. This week, he was charged with felony battery of an endangered adult. If convicted, he could be looking at between 1 and 6 years in prison.
Authorities in Cook County, Illinois say that a former professional football player is in custody this week, several weeks after his mother's body was found near their home, and it was announced that he was wanted in connection with her murder. According to reports, the case began back on September 16th when former NFL player 35-year-old Sergio Brown and his 73-year-old mother Myrtle were reported missing by concerned family members. When officers traveled to their home in the Chicago suburb of Maywood, there was initially no sign of either of them. However, when the search continued outside, they soon made a tragic discovery. Myrtle's lifeless body had been left near a creek less than 100 yards away from the property. It was later determined that she had died from an assault that had caused multiple fatal injuries. As detectives began investigating the case further, they were made aware of multiple bizarre posts to Sergio Brown's Instagram account after his mother's murder. In a series of videos, he said that the killing was, quote, fake news and that the pair of them were on vacation in Mexico. He also claimed that the FBI and the Maywood Police Department had previously kidnapped him. While Brown was later found to be partying in Mexico, he reportedly arrived there after his mother's murder. In the meantime, authorities allegedly found more evidence linking him to the crime, including surveillance camera footage taken by a neighbor that showed the 35-year-old burning his mother's clothes in a bonfire after her death. Family members also apparently stated that Brown, quote, wasn't himself the past few months, and, quote, was out of his mind. Further evidence of Brown's disturbed mental state emerged this week when he was finally tracked down and taken into custody while allegedly attempting to get back into the U.S. from Mexico. In footage of his arrest, which was reportedly taken aboard an airplane before it departed Mexico City, Brown can be seen fighting with police. He also accuses them of kidnapping him multiple times.
I have my passport. Why are they grabbing me? They're kidnapping me again. I'm from Chicago. My flight was Colombia. Why am I going to Tijuana? This is a kidnapping. They're in uniforms. Thank you for participating. I was going to Colombia. I'm from Chicago. I should not be going to Tijuana. Let me go. This is kidnapping.
At the time of this recording, Brown has been handed over to U.S. authorities and remains in custody. He is now facing first-degree murder charges in connection with his mother's murder.
Authorities in Scott County, Mississippi say that a man is facing multiple charges this week after it's alleged that he brutally murdered his live-in girlfriend and her young son, then torched their home in an attempt to cover up the heinous crime. According to reports, the situation began at around 9 p.m. on October 9th, when the Scott County Fire Department was called about a blaze at a mobile home on Wash Drive, just north of the city of Forest. While extinguishing the flames, things took a dark turn when they discovered the bodies of two people inside. They were subsequently identified as 46-year-old Zena Williams and her 8-year-old son, Zacchesus. Further examination quickly revealed that the mother and son had not died in the fire. Zena had been shot once in the head, while Zacchesus had been shot at least 3 times. While interviewing neighbors of the two victims, police learned that witnesses had heard an argument coming from the residence earlier that night. They believed the argument had been between Zena and a boyfriend of hers who had recently moved in, 31-year-old Salento James Fulgham. That wasn't all, though. Some neighbors also stated that they had heard multiple gunshots coming from the home before seeing Fulgham leave the property alone. After collecting information about a vehicle linked to the murders, police managed to track the vehicle to a wooded area near where the 31-year-old suspect used to live. They also obtained a search warrant for this residence, which was located on the 8300 block of King Road in Lauderdale County. As authorities were preparing to enter the residence, though, Fulgham was reportedly spotted driving in a vehicle on King Road. When he stopped at a house across the street, he was arrested without incident. At the time of this recording, no clear motive has been released behind the horrifying crime, though local news sources have reported that Fulgham and Zena got into frequent arguments. This included one that apparently happened on the day of the murder, which took place at Tyson Foods where they both worked. Fulgham is now facing multiple charges, including 2 counts of capital murder, 1 count of arson, and 1 count of auto theft. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much, everyone, and take care.